This conference will now be recorded.
Let me go and open the course curriculum. Let me go and open the course content. Fine. Now in today's session, we'll go and start discussing about the Power Automate, guys. From today onwards, we'll go and discuss about the Power Automate. So in today's class, what we'll understand here is, we'll try to understand in detail. So what is this Power Automate software? Complete introduction to Power Automate I will go and discuss. In today's session, what points we'll go and discuss here is, we'll understand some introduction to Power Automate, and then we'll understand what is meant by workflows, what is meant by automation, what's the definition of Power Automate. And the Power Automate will perform the automations in the different ways. What is this cloud flows? What is this desktop flows? And what is when this business process flows? All these points we'll go and discuss now. So in today's session, we'll go and discuss about some introduction to Power Automate. So let me go and open one notepad. Let me go and open one notepad. Let me keep here. Let me keep here. What is the agenda for today's session is, today's class, we'll go and discuss about introduction to Power Automate. Introduction to Power Automate. In this introduction class, that means in the next coming 60 minutes of time, what we'll go and discuss here is, we'll discuss about, in the 60 minutes of time, what we are going to discuss here is, we are going to discuss about what is Power Automate. We'll try to understand what is Power Automate. Second point, we'll try to understand what is automation. Second point, we'll try to understand what is meant by automation. And third point, we'll understand how to perform the automation using Power Automate software. How to go and perform the automation using the Power Automate software, we'll understand. Along with these 3 points, we'll try to understand one more point. So the next point we'll try to understand here is, who will use the Power Automate software. So along with these 3 points, we'll try to understand one more point, who will use the Power Automate software. So first let me go and discuss about who will use this Power Automate software, guys. And then we'll go and discuss about what is this automation, what is meant by Power Automate, and how to go and perform the automations using the Power Automate software. First of all, try to understand who will use the Power Automate. So now see, currently, with the help of this Power Platform, we are going to implement what? We're going to implement the business applications. We are going to implement what here is business applications process. So in this business applications process, as we know that it is a how many step process? As we know that business application process is a how many step process? It is a 4-step process. So what are the 4 steps involved in this? Already we know. So let me go and copy that. What are the 4 steps involved in this case? So already we discussed in the introduction class, what are the 4 steps involved in this business application process. So this is what is meant by business application process. As we know that it is a 4-step process. Now in this, currently we are going to discuss about what? In today's session, we'll go and start discussing about the automations. So already we know that with the help of front-end applications, we are able to go and create an app. So to create an app, we know that we need to go and use the Power App software. So once the app is created, the customers will go and use this app. Whenever the customer is placing an order in the app, that order details, I said that order details will comes into where the companies will go and store that order details in the data sources. As we know that data sources will contains what? Business data. Now, once the data comes into the data sources, whatever the customers, whatever the orders the customers are placing, that order details will comes into the data sources. Once the data comes into the data sources, by taking this data as a reference, which customer is placing the order and what is that order details, by taking those details as a reference, I need to go and perform what? Automations. So automations is nothing but sending the emails to the customers, sending the text messages, getting the approvals. These things will called as automations. So in today's session, uh, how to go and perform the automations, we'll go and discuss, guys. So if you take, let's give one scenario. If you take Swiggy company is there. So if you take Swiggy company, let's say 10,000 customers are ordering the food items per one day. Let's say 10,000 customers are ordering the food items per one day. Now whenever the customer places an order, the Swiggy need to go and send one email to that customer. Thanks for ordering the product, your order is placed successfully. And what is the food item the customer has ordered, that details I need to go and keep it in that email. So whenever the customer places an order, immediately I need to go and send one email to that customer. Let's say 10,000 customers are placing the orders per one day. Now it is possible to go and send the emails to those 10,000 customers manually with the help of humans? No. Manually with the help of humans, we are not able to go and send the emails to the customers. That too whenever the customer places an order. So instead of going and doing this work manually, which is not possible with the help of humans, so I need to go and do what? I need to go and do it automatically. If I want to go and do that work automatically, I need to go and perform what? Some automations. So when to go and use these automations means, when if you have any organization, in your organization, if you have any repeated work process is there, where you are not able to do it with the help of humans, then in this case, go and do that with the help of what? Automations. So we understand here what is meant by automations. So how to, when to go and use it. So let me go and explain now what is meant by automations, how to perform the automations with the help of Power Automate. So before going to understand how to go into the automations and with the help of Power Automate, first of all try to understand, we need to understand this point, guys. Who will use this Power Automate software? Currently, in this business application process, we are going to discuss now in today's session the automations. So before going to discuss about the automations, one more point you need to understand, who will use this Power Automate software. As we know that already we discussed, if there is any company, what the companies will do. As we know that the companies will do what? Business. So if you take any company, guess whatever the company it is, let us take Amazon, or let us take ICICI, uh, or let us take Swiggy, or let us take AB trainings. For the AB trainings is also a small scale business. So Amazon is doing one business. What kind of business the Amazon is doing? E-commerce business. ICS is doing one business. What kind of business the ICS is doing? Banking. As we know that Swiggy is one company. Swiggy is doing what business? Food business. AB trainings is one company. They're doing what business? They're doing the education business, or they're doing some training business. So if you take any company, what the companies will do? The companies will do some business. So if the company is doing some business, if there is any company, the company is doing some business, then that companies will have some repeated workflows will be there, guys. That companies will have what? Some repeated workflows will be there. So if you take any company, if you take Amazon, Amazon will have some repeated workflows will be there. If you take ICICI, ICICI also will have some repeated workflows will be there. If you take Swiggy, Swiggy also will have some repeated workflows. Any company, if they are doing some business, that company will have some repeated workflows, guys. Let me show you what is meant this workflow. Let me go and open one block diagram. If you see here, let's take this one is for either Amazon, Flipkart, or Swiggy. So they will have some one of the repeated work process. So what is the one of the repeated work process for the Amazon, Flipkart, or Swiggy is? So this is one of the repeated workflow, guys, or a work process. Now see, first the customer will places an order. So where the workflow will start? The workflow will start from placing the order. Who will place the order? Customer will place the order. Whenever the customer places the order, then what the Amazon need to do? The Amazon need to go and send one email to that customer. Now once the email is sent after placing the order, next if the product is packed, whatever the product is ordering, if that product is packed, again the customer will go and receive another email. Your product is packed and it is shipped. So once if your product is shipped so to your nearest place, so you will get another one more email, your product is shipped. And next, once if your product is shipped, and next you will get another one more email after 1 or 2 days, your product is out for delivery. And once the product is out for delivery, so you are going to receive that product on that particular day. Next, finally product is delivered to you. Once the product is delivered, again you will receive one message. Once the product is out for delivery, again you will get one more email. So once finally the product is delivered, so finally what is the status there? Completed. So this is one status guess. Whenever if you place an order, for your order they will go and keep one column called status column in the back end. So first, what is the status? Ordered. Next, once the product is packed, now the status is changed to what? Packed. Once the status is packed, the Amazon need to go and send one email to that customer again, your product is packed. So next, if the product is shipped, if the status is equals to shipped, then again Amazon need to go and send one more email to that customer that your product is shipped today. And next, once the product is out for delivery, if the status is out for delivery, again the customer will go and receive another email. So what is that email? Your product is out for delivery, you will receive that product by the end of this day. Next, delivered. If the product is delivered, again if the status is equals delivered, again Amazon need to go into what? They need to go and send one email to the customer that your product is delivered successfully, thanks for placing the order. So like this, so whenever if you place an order in the back end, the companies will go and maintain a column called status column. First, what is the status? Ordered. Second status is what? Packed. Second status is what? Shipped. Out for delivery. Delivered. So like this, based on the status of your order ID, automatically the Amazon need to go and send one email to you or a text messages to you. So if you take, this is one of the workflow case. Not only this workflow, the company will have some multiple workflows will be there. So I'm giving one of the workflow here for Amazon. This follow this workflow. Swiggy also will follow this workflow. Flipkart will follow this workflow. So if there is any company, as I said, that companies will have what? Repeated workflows. So whenever the customer places an order, every time they need to follow this repeated workflow case. So whenever the customer places an order, they need to go and do that work. So if there is any company, as I said, that the companies will do some business. If the companies are doing some business, then they will have what? Repeated workflows will be there. So if the company is having some repeated workflows, then if they want to do this work with the help of humans, it is possible means no. So as we know that Swiggy is having huge volume, huge number of customers. Let's say 10,000 customers are ordering the food items. So sending the emails to the 10,000 customers, that too whenever the place or order, whenever the product is out for delivery, so product is delivered. This is somewhat difficult for them employees to do it manually. So I need to go and do it whatever the repeated workflows will be there. I want to go and automate them, guys. I don't want to do that work manually with the help of humans. I need to do what? I need to go and automate it. So we need to go and perform here automation. I need to go and perform what here? Automation. So if you want to go and perform the automations, whatever the repeated workflows is there in your organization, if you want to automate them, if you want to go and do it automatically, if you want to go and perform some automations, then we need to have one software to perform that automations without any human interactions. So if you want to go and perform the automations within the organizations, then we need to have one software. What's that software we are using nowadays to go and perform the automations within the organizations? That software I'm using what? Power Automate. So we understand here who will use the Power Automate software, guys. Who will use the Power Automate software? As we know that if there is any company, if the company is doing some business, that companies will have what? Repeated workflows will be there. So whatever the repeated workflows will be there, it is not possible for that companies to go and do that workflows with the help of humans manually. So they need to go and perform what? Automations. They need to go and do that work automatically. So doing the work automatically is known as automations. So if you want to go and automate that work process, then we need to go and use one software. What is that software we're using here? Power Automate. So with the help of Power Automate software, we are able to perform what? Automations. So what you are going to automate here? Organizations repeated workflows. With the help of Power Automate, we'll go and do some automations. So what automations means? Whatever the repeated work is there in the organizations, that repeated work we are going to automate with the help of Power Automate software. So we understand who will use this Power Automate software. And next, the next point, we need to understand what is this automation, what is this Power Automate, and how to perform the automations using the Power Automate. Now we'll go and discuss these 3 points, guys. Now before going to understand what is meant by this Power Automate, what is meant by automation, so what is this workflows, guys? Before that, we need to go and understand one more point. What's that point? We need to go and understand what is meant by workflows. What is the definition of, what's the definition for workflows? Now try to understand what is meant by workflows means. Let me keep here the definition, guys. Workflows will contains workflows will contains the series of activities comma tasks and rules that are used to, let me keep here, that are organized, let me keep it as organized, that as organized in a specific sequential order to start and complete the work process of an organizations, or start the work process in the organizations. So try to understand, guys, what I'm keeping here. What is meant by workflows? Workflows will contains what? Workflows will contains the series of activities, tasks and rules that are organized in a specific sequential order to start and complete the work process in the organizations. So what this workflows will contains means, workflows, it will contains the series of activities, some tasks will be there, and also your workflow, you need to go and define some rules. What is the need of having this series of activities, tasks and rules means these are organized in a specific sequential order. So one after the other, we need to follow some sequence there in a specific sequential order to start and complete the work process in the organizations. So where you need to start the work process and where you need to complete the work process in the organizations. This is what the definition of workflows. Simple. Workflows will contains what? Series of activities and tasks and rules that are organized in a specific sequential order. Why they are organized in a specific sequential order? Because where to start and complete the work process in the organizations. So for this, we'll go and call it as what? Workflows. So this is what is meant by workflows definition, guys. And next, one more point you need to understand, what is meant by these automations. The next point we need to understand what is meant by automation. Already we know that in the previous class we discussed about what is meant by automation. Automation is nothing but what, guys? Automation is nothing but doing certain repeated work, automatically, without human interactions. So as we know that what is meant by automation is nothing but doing certain repeated work automatically without any human interactions. If you are doing some work, then we'll call it as what? Automations. And the next point we need to understand what is Power Automate is. So we understand what the companies will have means workflows. If you want to do that workflows, we need to go and perform what? Automations. Now if you want to perform the automations, you need to have what? One software. So what's that software I'm going to use now? Power Automate. So what is the definition of Power Automate? First of all, try to understand what is the definition of Power Automate, and then we'll try to understand how to perform, and then we'll try to understand how to perform the automations with the help of Power Automate software. So what is the definition of Power Automate means? As we know that, let me keep here the first definition, guys. As we know that Power Automate is an automation software. It is an automation software within the Power Platform. Within the Power Platform, if you want to go and perform some automations, what is the automation software we'll have within the Power Platform? Power Automate. So this is one of the definition, guys. Next, what the Power Automate is? Let me go and keep here another one more definition. So Power Automate is a cloud-based. Power Automate is a cloud-based automation software. Power Automate is a cloud-based automation software which is used to automate the repeated workflows in the organizations. Within the organizations, if you have any repeated workflows, if you want to go and automate them, then you need to go and use what? So you can go and use the Power Automate software. This is another definition, guys. What is another definition? Power Automate is a cloud-based automation software which is used to automate the repeated workflows in the organizations. And next, there is one more definition. What is the another definition for Power Automate is? Let me go and keep here, guys. So this Power Automate is used to let me keep it like another way. Power Automate is used to automate the business process of an organization. So what is another definition for Power Automate? Power Automate is used to automate the business process of an organization. So these are the three definitions, guys. You can keep any definition. So what is meant by Power Automate means you can tell them Power Automate is an automation software within the Power Platform, or Power Automate is a cloud-based automation software which is used to automate the repeated workflows in the organizations, or Power Automate is used to automate the business process of an organization. So any one name, any one definition you can go and keep. Anyone is fine. And next, we know that what is the definition of Power Automate now. Next, we need to go and understand who developed the Power Automate software and when it is developed. So next point, we need to understand who developed the Power Automate software, guys. So who developed the Power Automate software? Let me go and keep here. Power Automate is developed by which company? As we know that it is developed by the Microsoft company. In which year it is developed? In the year 2019. In the year 2019, Microsoft company developed a software called what? Power Automate. So what type of software this Power Automate developed by the Microsoft means? It is an automation tool. What type of software it is? It is an automation tool. So the next point we are understanding here, who developed the Power Automate? Microsoft. In which year? In the year 2019. What type of software the Power Automate developed by the Microsoft? It's an automation tool. And the next point we'll try to understand here is there is another name for Power Automate, guys. So there is another name for Power Automate. What is another name for Power Automate means? Power Automate is also called as Power Automate is also called as MS flows. Power Automate is also called as what? MS flows. So before 2019, before 2019, Power Automate is called as what means? Power Automate will call it as what? MS Flows. What the MS Flows stands for? MS stands for what? Microsoft. So before 2019, Power Automate is called as MS Flows. Guys. Where this MS Flows is located means, so this MS Flows will be there in the SharePoint. So as we know that already what is meant by SharePoint, guys. So I said that SharePoint not only to store the data, it will perform different actions. So before 2019, within the SharePoint, if you want to go and do some automations, they are doing the automations by using what? MS Flows. So where the MS Flows is located before 2019 means before 2019, the MS Flows are located in where? In the SharePoint. Within the SharePoint, you are able to do some automations also. So if you want to go and do some automations within the SharePoint, in the older days, we are using what? MS Flows. So Microsoft Flows will be using in the SharePoint to automate the work, to automate the repeated workflows. So after 2019, before 2019, we are calling it as MS Flows. So here in the SharePoint, whatever the MS Flows is there, you are able to do the automations within the SharePoint only. You are not able to do the automations by taking the some other data sources as a reference. So to overcome this problem, what the Microsoft is doing here is Microsoft is converting this MS Flows to what? Power Automate. So within the before 2019, where the MS Flows is there? SharePoint. In the SharePoint only we are able to do the automations with the help of MS Flows. But what the Microsoft is doing here is after 2019, from 2019 onwards, they are coming with new software. What is that software? Power Automate. So whatever they are having in the SharePoint MS Flows, the advanced version of this MS Flows is what? Power Automate. So from 2019, MS Flows are called as what? Power Automate. So what type of software it is? Automation tool. So what is the another name for Power Automate means? MS Flows. Before 2019, we'll call it as MS Flows. Where this MS Flows will be located means within the SharePoint. So the advanced version of MS Flows is what? Power Automate. So this is what the definition of Power Automate. And when it is developed, when the Power Automate is developed before 2019, what we'll call it as Power Automate MS Flows. Where the MS Flows is located means within the SharePoint. So this is what is meant by Power Automate. Guys. What is the definition? Who developed it? When it is developed? What type of software it is? And also, what is the another name for Power Automate? Next point, we'll try to understand how to go and perform the automations using the Power Automate software. Guys. Next point, we need to understand what? How to perform the automations using the Power Automate. So, if you want to perform the automations within the organizations with the help of Power Automate, there are different types of automations you can go and perform here, guys. Types of, let me go and keep here, types of automations. So what are the different types of automations you are able to perform? Different types of automations. Now what are the different types of automations you are able to perform within the Power Automate? So the first one is cloud flows. The first one is what? Cloud flows. And the second one is what? Desktop flows. Second one is desktop flows. And third one is business process flows. Third one is what? Business process flows. So these are the three types of automations you are able to go and perform within the Power Automate. Within the Power Automate, how to go and perform the automations means there are three ways you can go and perform the automations. So first one is what? Cloud flows. Second is what? Desktop flows. And next one is what? Business process flows. Now what is this cloud flows? What is this desktop flows? And what is this business process flows? Now try to understand, guys. First let me go and keep here what is meant with this cloud flows. These flows are, what is meant with this cloud flows means these flows are used to automate the repeated workflows in the cloud. So within the cloud, if you want to go and do any automations, then you need to go and use what? Cloud flows. Cloud flows, these flows are used to automate the repeated workflows in the cloud. Next one is desktop flows. What is this desktop flows means? These flows are used to automate the repeated work in the desktop, in the desktop or in the web. So whenever if you want to go and do some automations within the desktop means what? Your local system. Desktop means what? Within your local system. If you want to do any automations within your local system, or if you want to go and do some automations in the web, that means Google, Microsoft Edge, there if you want to go and do any automations, they need to go and use what? Desktop flows. These desktop flows are used to automate the repeated workflows where? In the desktop or in the web. So this one will called as what means? Desktop flows are also called as RPA. Desktop flows are called as what? RPA. RPA stands for what means? Robotic process automations. Applications or automations. Let me go and keep here. Robotic process automation. Robotic process automations, guys. So this is completely different. So robotic processes in the older versions, in the older days, companies will go and store their business data most of the cases in the local systems only. In their own systems, they will maintain some servers. Within that servers, they will go and store their business data. So in the older days, if the companies wants to do some automations, where the companies will go into the automations? Within the desktop. So why the companies are doing the automations in the desktop means, in the older days we don't have that much cloud. So where the companies are storing their business data in the old days means in the local systems only. So if whatever the data you are having in your local system, that is in your desktop, you want to do some automations there. So doing the automations in your local system or in the web, we'll call it as what? RPA. RPA stands for what? Robotic process automations. So this is older version, older one, guys. In the old days they are using the RPA to do the automations in the desktop and web, but nowadays almost all the companies, whatever the data they are having in the desktops, they are converting their data into where? Cloud. So most of the cases nowadays the companies are using what flows means? Cloud flows. So this is what is meant by cloud flows and desktop flows. Cloud flows are used to automate the work process where? Within the cloud. Desktop flows are used to automate the repeated work process where? Within the desktop or web. Doing the automations within the desktop or web will call it as what? RPA. RPA stands for what? Robotic process automations. And next one is business process flows. Now what is this business process flows means? These flows are used to guide the users towards the business, towards the business which is involved in, which is involved in multiple, which is involved in multiple steps or stages, steps or stages of an organization. Try to understand, guys. What I'm telling here is, what is this uh, business process flows is? Business, these flows are used for what? Guide the users towards the business which is involved in multiple steps or stages of an organization. So as I said that if you are doing one business, your business will have what? Multiple processes will be there. Your business will have some process. So if there is any new user is there in your organization, let's say if you have a new user, that user doesn't know what is your business process, what is the business process flow. So if you want to guide that new user, if you want to guide the new users towards your business process, then we'll go and use what? Business process flows. What is the use of this business process flows? These flows are used to guide the new users, not the old users. If there is a new user is there, then I want to guide that new user towards the business. So these are used to guide the users towards the business, which is involved in multiple steps or stages in the organizations. So this is what is meant by business process flows. So these are the three types of automations you are able to go and do within the Power Automate. Within the Power Automate, I said that it will do what? Will do the automations. What type of automations you are able to do here? One is cloud flows, second is what? Desktop flows, and third one is what? Business process flows. Among these three automations, so nowadays most of the companies are using what here is they are used to go and perform the automations in the cloud. So already we discussed about the cloud flows case. Already we know that what are the different types of cloud flows will be there. So here our agenda to understand about what is this cloud flows case. So we are not going to discuss about the desktop flows. Desktop comes under the RPA. If you want to go on in the desktop flows, it is separate course. RPA is separate course. It is around again 35 to 40 days course it is. So now instead of going and learning the RPA, doing the automations in the desktop, you better to go and learn the cloud flows, where the companies will go and do the automations within the cloud. So now under this cloud flows, again we will have the three different types of flows. So these are the three different automations you can perform. Now we need to go and discuss about what here? Cloud flows. In the cloud flows, there are three different types of cloud flows are available. Already we know that, guys. Already we know what are the different types of cloud flows are there. In the introduction classes, already we discussed about in the Power Automate introduction. I said that there are three types of automations you are able to. What are the three types of automations? Automated cloud flows, scheduled, and instant. So these three will comes under where? These three will comes under the cloud flows. So what are the three different types of cloud flows are available is? The first one is automated cloud flows, automated flows, and second is what? Scheduled flows, and third one is what? Instant flows. So these three flows will comes under where? These three will comes under the cloud flows. Now already we know that, guys, what is meant by this? Already we know that uh, what is meant by this automated cloud flows, what is meant by scheduled and instant cloud flows. We discussed in the introduction classes, right? So let me go and keep here. First of all, let me go and discuss about what is this automated cloud flows case. So as we know that what is the use of this automated cloud flows means? These flows are used to automate the repeated work based on what? Based on the event that is triggered. So when to go and use this automated cloud flows means these flows are used to automate the repeated workflows when an event is triggered. So already we know that what is meant by an event, guys. Let's say when to go and use this automated cloud flows means. So suppose think that you are creating an app in the Power Apps. Let's say the help of Power Apps, you are creating an app here within the Power Apps. Now, once after creating the app in the Power Apps, what we'll do, we'll try to enter some data. Let's say we are entering some data in the Power Apps in the form. Whatever the data we are entering in the app, that data will go and store in where? Data sources. As we know that whatever the data you are able to see it in the Power Apps and whatever the data you are collecting in the Power Apps, where that data will be stored? Within the data sources. Now, try to understand, guys. With the help of Power Apps, I'm going to enter some data into the data sources. That means I'm going to submit some data to the data sources. So whenever the new record, so let's say one of the customer is placing an order in the app. Now once the customer places an order, as we know that the data will come from where? Data sources. Now whenever the data comes into the data sources, that is called as one event, guys. Event is nothing but, as we know that inserting the data into the table is one event. If you insert one new row, that is an event. So update, if you are doing any update in the data in the tables, is called as one event. Next, if you are removing some data in the tables, this is called as another event, guys. So already you know that what is meant by an event means insert, update, and delete. These are called as events. Now see, from the Power Apps, I'm going to submit some data to where? Data sources. Submitting the data to the data sources is nothing but what? insert. I'm inserting some data. When you insert the data, I'm telling that insert is what? An event. So whenever the record is inserted, automatically I need to go and do what here? By taking that data as a reference, I need to go and send one email to the customer's case. Which customer is placing the order? To that customer, I want to do what? I want to send one email. So when to go and use this automated flows means based on the event, whenever the record is inserted, whenever the record is updated, whenever the record is deleted. So if there is some event is happened in the data sources, whatever the event you are doing, based on that event, what type of automations you want to do. So in these cases, we'll go and use the automated cloud flows. And next one is scheduled cloud flows case. Now what is meant with the scheduled cloud flows? When to go and use them? So already we know that these flows are used to automate the repeated workflows, based on the scheduled date and time. So when to go and use this scheduled cloud flows means these flows are used to automate the repeated workflows. When these flows are used to automate the repeated workflows based on the scheduled date and time. Whenever if you want to go and do some automations based on the date and time, at what date and time you want to go and do the automations, then go and use what? Scheduled cloud flows. As we know that, so I'm giving one example here. Let's say I want to send one report to my manager every day at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. Let's say every day at 6 p.m. I want to send an email to my manager. What is that email means? I want to go and send one report, daily report case. Every day at 6 p.m. as a team lead, let's say I'm working in one organization as a team lead. So as a team lead, I want to go and send one email to my manager every day at 6 p.m. Before going to leave the office, what is the work we done on that day? What's the progress of that project? I need to go and create one report and I want to send that report to my manager. So this is one of the repeated work case. This is my repeated work. I want to send the email to my manager every day. So I'm not able to send that email manually every day, going and opening the email. So what I need to do, I will go and create the report and I will keep that report in one folder. So what the Power Automate need to do? Power Automate every day at 6 p.m. What is the scheduled date and time? What is the date? Every day. What's the time? 6 p.m. Every day at 6 p.m. What the Power Automate need to do? This Power Automate need to go and cut that report and it need to send that report to the manager via email. So this is one type of automation. When to go and use this type of automations? Scheduled flows. So let's say let's say one more scenario, guys. Let's say there is in the organization there are multiple employees are working. Within the organizations, multiple employees will be there. So I'm having the date of birth of the employee. So on their uh, date of birth of the employees, let's say 100 employees is there. I want to send the birthday wishes for the employees on their date of birth. So as an organizer, I'm not able to go and check which employee's birthday is today, which employee birthday is tomorrow. So what I want to do, automatically I want to go and send one birthday wishes to that employees. When I want to send on their birthdays. Let's say today is one of the employee birthday. Today I don't want to send the email to the employee manually. With the help of Power Automate, I want to go and send that birthday wishes to the employees. So here also I need to go and do what? I need to go and set which type of flows? Scheduled flows. So every day, what is the day? Every day. Let's say what is the time I'm setting now? 6 a.m. Every day at 6 a.m. What the Power Automate need to do? It need to go and check in the date of birth column which employee date of birth is matching with today's date. If the employee date of birth is matching with today's date, then what the Power Automate need to do? That Power Automate need to go and send some birthday wishes to that employee through email. So this type of automations will go and do with the help of what? Scheduled flows. So automated flows, when to go and use it? Based on the event. If something is happened in the data source, then only I want to go into the work. Then only I want to start the automations. Second is scheduled. When to go and use the scheduled? Based on the scheduled date and time. At what date and time you want to run the flow. Here one of my requirement is sending the birthday wishes to the employees. Every day morning at 6 a.m. I want to go and start the flow. What the Power Automate need to do? It need to go and check which employee birthday is today. If there is any employee date of birth is matching with today's date, then the Power Automate need to go and send one automated email to that employee. Otherwise, sending the emails report, daily report to the manager. So this This is what is meant by scheduled flows, and when to go and use the automated flows. And next one is what? Instant flows. Now, when to go and use this instant flows means these flows are used to automate the repeated workflows manually by tapping a button. These flows are used to These flows are used to automate the repeated workflows manually by tapping a button. That means whenever it is required. Now, I don't want to automate the repeated work process based on the event. Let's say whenever the record is inserted, updated, I don't want to run the flow, or I don't want to run the flow based on the scheduled date and time. Now, when I want to run the flows, whenever it is required for me, manually I will go and click on one button. When I click on one button manually, then only the flow will run. So when to go and select the instant cloud flows means instantly, whenever it is required for you, you need to go and click on one button manually. Whenever if you tap the button manually, then automatically the flow will run. When the flow will run now? Manually by tapping a button. So when to go and use the instant cloud flows? Whenever it is required for us, instantly we need to go and run it. So in this cases, go and use the instant cloud flows. So these are the different types of cloud flows are available, guys. Under the cloud flows, we have the three types of cloud flows. One is automated. When to go and use the automated? Based on the event that is triggered in the data sources. Next, scheduled. When to go and use the scheduled? Based on the date and time. Instant. When to go and use the instant flows? Whenever it is required for us, we need to go and run it manually by tapping a button. Then in this case, go and use the instant cloud flows. So these are the different types of automations you are able to go and perform within the Power Automate. Within the Power Automate, how to go and perform the automations means these are the different ways we are going to perform. First one is what? Scheduled. Second is what? Desktop. First one is cloud flows case. Cloud flows are used for what? To automate the repair work in the cloud. Desktop flows are used for what? To automate the workflows within the desktop or in the web. That will comes under what? RPA. Business process flows, these are used to guide the users towards the business, where your business will be involved in multiple steps and stages. If there is one new user is there in your organization, you want to guide that user. So who will guide that? Here also to guide that user, I am using the one of the flow, that is what? Business process flows. So mostly nowadays the companies are using to perform the automations what? Cloud flows. Within the cloud flows, there are three types of cloud flows are available. What are those three types of cloud flows? Automated cloud flow, scheduled cloud flows, instant cloud flows. Now we know that what is meant by automated cloud flows and when to use it. We know that what is meant by scheduled cloud flows and when to use it. We know that what is meant by instant cloud flows and when to go and use the instant cloud flows. These are the different ways where you can go and perform the automations within the Power Automate. And next point we'll go and understand here is what are the advantages? Why we need to go for automation? Why we need to go for automations? Why most of the companies are using the Power Automate, or not only Power Automate, any automation software? Why the companies are doing the automations? Let me go and keep here the advantages. Guys. What are the advantages we'll have here is, let me go and copy something. So there are a few advantages will be there, guys. Why the companies are performing or using the automation softwares not to go and perform the automations. So these are the advantages we'll have. Just copy and then paste it here. So what are the advantages we'll have here is, the first one is automate the task across the business. So if you start the process at one place, that process will end at different place. Within your business, you can go and automate the task across your business. And second is what? Reduces the manual work. So you know, if you are using the automation software, so manual work will be reduces. Next, reduce the human errors. If there is any work that is done by the humans, automatically there is some errors will be there. Humans means will do some mistakes. So if you want to overcome those, we can go and use the automation software, reduce the human errors. And next one is what? Perform more work in less time. With the help of automation softwares, what is the next advantage? These softwares will help us to do more work in less time. So sending the 10,000 mails to the customers manually, how much time it will take? How many manpower we need to have? But with the help of automation softwares, we can go and do it in the fingertips within less time. So perform more work in less time. And the final advantage is what? Improves productivity and efficiency. Productivity is nothing but what? Within the less time, if you are doing more work means productivity is increasing. Efficiency is nothing but what? The output. So how much quality, how much speed, what is the speed, how fastly the Power Automate is sending the mails to the customers. So efficiency is nothing but quality, guys. Quality and so these are the advantages we'll have. Improves the productivity and efficiency. So these are the advantages we'll have. Why companies are going and performing the automations? Why they are using some automation software to go and do some work with the automations means these are the advantages they are going to get. So these are the some of the advantages of we'll go and get when we go and use the automation softwares. So done with the class now. So what we discussed in today's session? So we start discussing about the Power Automate. So in this we discussed about what we understand what is meant by Power Automate. What's the definition? We know that what is meant by automations, when to go and use the automations, and also we know that how to go and perform the automations using the Power Automate, and who will use the Power Automate software. So we know that who will use the Power Automate software, who will use it, which companies having some repeated workflows, that companies will go and use the Power Automate. So what is meant by repeated workflows case? As we know that repeated workflows is nothing but sending the emails, sending the messages, or getting the approvals from the managers or from the team lead or from the HR, getting the approvals. These are called as some repeated workflows. So we know that who will use the Power Automate software. Next we discussed about what is meant by workflows. What's the definition? What's the definition of automation? What's the definition of Power Automate? There are three definitions. You can go and keep anyone. Anyone is fine. Next we discussed about who developed the Power Automate. Microsoft. In which year? 2019. What type of software it is? Automation tool. Next, before 2019, what the Microsoft is calling as MS Flows. Where this MS Flows is located? Within the SharePoint. So before 2019, MS Flow, my Power Automate is called as what? MS Flows. So as we know that MS Flows will be located in the SharePoint. Next, we understand here different ways to perform the automations. So there are three ways to perform the automations. One is cloud, second is desktop, and second is business process flows. So now we'll go and discuss about what here? Cloud flows. Under the cloud flows, we know that what is meant by automated, scheduled, and instant cloud flows. And next we discussed about some of the advantages. What are the advantages the companies will go and get if they go on to use the automation softwares? Fine. Let me stop here today.